Good evening from Mrs. Keller and Rosie. Rosie wanted to join us for the Mighty Miss Malone read aloud today. So we will be reading you Chapter 7, The Mysterious Smile on the Man of the Quaker Oats Box. Now this is quite a shorter chapter than the last two, I think. The last two have been quite long. This one's pretty short, so yeah. The next morning, I woke up and wiggled my toes. My feet felt heavy and horrible. Then I remembered I'd worn Mrs. Needham's niece's shoes to bed. I took them off and got up and started getting ready for school. When I was dressed, I must have tried 6 times to go downstairs wearing my new shoes. Mrs. Needham said I shouldn't save them, but Mother had told me it was okay to put them on. But something wouldn't let me take more than 2 tippy-tap steps to head downstairs. She likes the book, I think. I sat on the bed and picked up my old no-heel shoes. Since this was the last day of school, I could wear them one more time. And I could go barefoot all summer long. I put my regular shoes back on. I'd never noticed before how much they cramped up my toes. By the time I got downstairs, my feet were back to being used to them. Father was on the couch, reading a newspaper, and Jimmy had his head on the arm of the couch and his feet tucked under Father's legs. This is a bad habit Jimmy picked up from Mother. She's always complaining that her feet are cold, and when she's laying on the couch reading, she'll ask me or Jimmy or Father to sit on her feet so they'll warm up. She's turned us into a bunch of brood hens. I gave each of them their good morning kiss, then went into the kitchen and kissed Mother. I reached into the cabinet and pulled out this big new box of oatmeal. Mother said, "Wait, Deza, there's an open box. It must have something left." What was I thinking? I put the new box back and got the open one. I turned the box until the strange-looking white man was smiling at me. The man was what Mother says we should call big-boned. He was wearing a black cowboy hat, had long gray hair like a very old white woman, and must have been getting ready to eat his supper because he had stuffed a fluffy white napkin down the front of his shirt. Father came into the kitchen. If you have never had Quaker oatmeal before, I, in the description, will post a link to a picture of the Quaker Oats man, and then look at his appearance and compare that to the description that Deza gave us. Rosie, you're about to have to get down. You're being distracting. Father came into the kitchen. It's funny how something can look so normal to you one day, and then all of a sudden it can look so strange. I wonder if that's because you get smarter and older. I wonder if that's because as you get smarter and older, you look at things with different eyes, even things you've seen a million times before. I stared at the man on the Quaker Oats box. Mother, Father, who is this man? Father took the box. Well, Deza, I don't think anyone knows. The way he's skinning and grinning, though, he must have just heard some very good news. What do you think the news was? Father looked at Mother. Peg, what would good news for the Quakers be? Mother said, all I know is the Quakers have a reputation for being very honest, and they helped a lot of people get north on the Underground Railroad during slavery. Do you guys remember when we learned about that? Father clapped his hands. There you go. Our happy Caucasian friend here has been so busy waiting for another escaped slave that he hasn't had a chance to read the newspaper for the last... How long have we been free? Father did the math in his head. 73 years. Wow. It was only 73 years ago that Lincoln freed the slaves. So, Dardwat, this guy's happy because he just heard about the Emancipation Proclamation. He's overjoyed because he can quit fighting for freedom and get back to quaking. Do you think that that's true? Pretty interesting story. I pulled the round cardboard top off of the oatmeal box and stuck my face over the opening. The smell of the oatmeal was lovely. I closed the box and shook it. Shaking made the little bits of powder float around inside the box. When I pulled the lid off again, I dropped the box and screamed. Mother and Father jumped, and Jimmy came running into the kitchen. I pointed at the floor. What do you think it is? There, along with the spilled cereal, was an army of teeny-weeny, wiggling, squiggling, wormy-looking bugs and beetles trying to hide under the flakes of oatmeal. Mother said, "Deza Malone, do you have any idea how much a box of oatmeal costs? Sweep up that cereal and put it back in the box this instant." I don't know what the bigger surprise was, the bugs and the worms or Mother telling me to sweep them back. Father smiled at me. "Deza, those are only some harmless beetles that hitched a ride." I couldn't believe I was having to point out something that was so obvious to Father. Most times he was very quick to understand. I crossed my arms. "But they're bugs. Bugs in the food." He crouched down so that he was looking me square in the eye, something that made me feel big and important and small and silly at the same time. "Deza, times are hard. We cannot waste a single thing." I stamped my foot. "Father, they're bugs!" He went from crouching to sitting on the floor with his legs crossed in front of him. "My mighty Miss Malone, you know I haven't worked regular for months now. We're going to have to be very careful until I can find work. That might be a while." He reached over and pinched a bunch of the spilled oatmeal into his hand. A couple of bugs scurried around in his palm, ducking between flakes like they were hiding under an umbrella. "The bugs are harmless," Father smiled, and tossed the oatmeal, bugs and all, into his mouth. Jimmy yelled, "Holy macaroni!" He scooped up a pinch of bugs and cereal and threw them into his mouth. Mother said, "Roscoe, James, neither one of you knows when to stop. Deza, before I cook the oatmeal, I always sift any of those beetles out, and boiling water kills any germs." The news was getting worse. Mother had used buggy oatmeal before. I felt my stomach clenching and twisting, just like I'd eaten another bad piece of fish. Mother said, "Last time I checked, Deza, your birth certificate said Malone and not Rockefeller. We can't afford to throw just any kind of food out, my dear." Father got up and started out of the kitchen. Jimmy said, "Hey, Pa, how come you quit talking?" Father had been quiet since he put the buggy oatmeal in his mouth. Jimmy grabbed his arm. "What's wrong, Pa? Cat got your tongue?" Father had tried to teach me a lesson, but the lesson wasn't going to go as far as chewing or swallowing the wiggling worms. Father slapped the back of Jimmy's head, and when Jimmy said, "Hey," and ducked, Father spit the oatmeal into his other hand. "What, Jimmy? I didn't quite hear what you said." All the way to school, Jimmy couldn't quit talking about how him and Father ate some of the bugs. Who was the one that actually ate the bugs? Joke's on him. "Wait till I tell everyone." I rolled my eyes. That was all he needed to do, give people more reason to shoot at him on the last days of school. But with Jimmy, it's best to come at things sideways. "Jimmy, don't tell anyone. You know you're not supposed to talk with anyone about what happens at home." Jimmy said, "Yeah, that means we can't talk about family business." "This ain't business. This is something funny." Me and Jimmy look at the world different sometimes. While Jimmy was bragging about eating buggy cereal, I was promising myself that I was through with oatmeal for the rest of my life. That was chapter 7 of The Mighty Miss Malone. All right, Rosie, ready for our questions? As you can tell, she's still very much a puppy. There are only 5 questions for Chapter 7, seeing as how Chapter 7 was only a couple of pages long. So, Chapter 7. Number 1, why did Deza's feet feel funny when she woke up? Was it because they fell asleep? She woke up upside down in her bed. C, she slept in her new shoes. Or D, she walked too much the day before. Number 2, how long had the slaves been freed? Had they been freed for 21 years at this point in the story? 150 years, 71 years, or 73 years? What made Deza drop the oatmeal? There were bugs in the box. She slipped on the wet floor. Jimmy scared her. Her father made her laugh. Number 4 and number 5 are both extended response questions. Make sure you have capital letters, you have an organized sentence, you have punctuation, and your sentences are spelled as accurately as you can. Why did Deza's parents make her sweep up the oatmeal back into the box? That's a great question. They do talk about it explicitly in the book. Number 5, why do you think, so this answer is not going to be able to be 100% found in the book. You'll have to use evidence to support your answer. Why do you think Deza doesn't want people to know that there are bugs in her oatmeal? So whereas Jimmy didn't care and thought it was funny and told everybody, Deza didn't want people to know. Why would she not want people to know that there were bugs in her oatmeal? It's an interesting question. All right, so that was chapter 7. Tomorrow we will read chapter 8, which is also, if I'm remembering correctly, a little bit shorter. Maybe not. And then on Friday, before your extended spring weekend, spring weekend is going to be this weekend because it is Easter on Sunday, and the district has us being off from school on Monday. So on Monday I won't post assignments. On Monday I won't I won't do a Zoom meeting. We'll do our Zoom meeting on Tuesday, okay? And I will post assignments on Tuesday so that you're not tempted to work on anything on Monday. Monday is for you and your family. If you really want to work on something, I will post some more fun activities, some crafts that you can do at home if you would like with your family, okay? So, Friday we will do the answers to chapters 5 through 8, and then we will continue with Money Miss Malone next Tuesday. I hope you have a great night. Mrs. Keller loves you. Bye.